sentence, I can just tell you that the program there was that he wanted the user to experience as if they are walking through the ruins. So that was a main agenda that he started with, and then the kind of whole museum was built over it, of course respecting what exactly is there in the background or the surrounding, and not overwhelming the importance, or not kind of snatching the importance of that. Similarly, you have extension of Kimball Art Museum, wherein the architect wanted to respect Khan's building, and then kind of put in place, or put in place the extension. So similarly, what happens in these three kind of, why I took this same example, so like these three are some similar example, but there are different positions that the architect took, and that on that basis the program was kind of explored and designed. Of course, we come back to India, and here this is like a very classic example that I feel. It's in the same city by same architect, but has totally different visual character. One is Bharat Bhavan, which has this whole notion of non-building, and another is Vidhan Bhavan. So which kind of explicitly high definition visual character it has. So according to the requirements will be a very mundane word, but according to the needs, and according to this thing, over that also architect thinks, or architect has some different imaginations, and therefore these and so these outcomes are kind of observed. Similarly, movement. We were talking about movement right now. Beside the only just connecting the function, it has something more. It kind of it is a very important and a very powerful tool to make the user experience the whole space. It kind of unfolds the script of your building, enhance the spatial experiences. So there is this very powerful sketch. So this is again, movement and circulation is a very universal kind of value, but a strong concept is derived around it. So this is a very famous sketch. This is a museum in Stuttgart by Richard Meyer. So the whole conceptualization of this what you say building was occurred with respect to the movement that the user will take, or the user will kind of experience in the building. Interestingly, Maya never talks about this in his interviews, but if you see all the process sketches, maybe we'll explore it more. You see each and every process sketch is revolving around this idea of that ramp which is piercing in and connecting to different streets. Similarly, this is temple at Karnak, and how one connects from the entrance through these different different courtyards or different open spaces, and then it leads to the main temple. Plus this also, so this has more deep value in it, which is maybe that there are a lot of processions that takes place in these religious and sacred buildings, wherein the movement which is carefully designed kind of provides a very different experience to the people. Similarly, when we talk about Parthenon, so every time we talk about Parthenon with respect to the Greek principles of perspectives, and we concentrate on that one building which is there. But has anyone kind of have ever we thought that how when we reach Acropolis, so how that whole movement is kind of designed and marked, and how different, if you can see how different temples of other gods are kind of placed and designed, and through that one has to carve their way out and then reach Acropolis. Lot of different architects, including Corbusier, Kahn, who has been fascinated by the construct and the placement of these buildings, are talking about it. So majorly Corbusier talks, give this as a name of picturesque, and he builds on that. So these two pictures, another pictures, you can see that how complex it is. There is an amphitheater here, and then you have to go around, and then you reach the Parthenon. And once you start going up, you start unfolding the small bits and pieces of the Parthenon. So even at micro level, which we talk about the museum at Stuttgart, and at the macro level where we are talking about Acropolis, And even Vijayanagara, the temple at Vijayanagara. So there are a lot of ceremonial processions that used to happen. So there are these rathas and mandapas which are placed on the path till you go to the main temple. So plus again sept. Even in institutional campuses, like how you place your buildings, how you kind of plan your movement, how that movement or that kind of starts offshooting to different kind of spaces, and through that you reach other areas. So it's not necessary that every time it's just small passages or something else, but movement can happen through also different elements. Like movement can happen through quotes, movement can happen through important ideas or a very strong ideas of just ramps that we even spoke about. Similarly, the other theme which we can see is organization. So organization is a very familiar term which we even kind mentioned that last semester you have been talking about how you organize, how you carve out. Even when you are carving out, think you are at the back of your mind subconsciously thinking how it is looking, how it is visually looking. Is it looking organized? Is it looking like everyone has a very different notion of it. So organize is one such rooted tenets which actually kind of gives offshoots to different formative ideas, and even it might lead to another tectonic explorations also. So again, I would like to highlight and mention here that it's not, we are not saying, or no one is saying that there is this one aspect which governs the building. There are different aspects through which the buildings comes together, but here through different examples we are trying to focus on one particular aspect of that example. It might even happen that you will, so in second year you are studying Padmanabhapuram Palace or sept, and even in third year when you're talking about the different themes, you are again studying these buildings. So it becomes very difficult to talk about all the aspect at once. So here, but we are talking about one aspect. So it's not that this just one aspect and this building it's done. It's not like that. You have lot of, so organization. One such example is Park the Ville, which is by Bernard Chumi, and it was again done out. It was a project done by by competition, through competition, and a park was supposed to be designed. Again here, how organization is also important, even the program is also important. So when we explore, we will talk about it, but major focus would be done on how organization principles has been used to kind of design the whole park. But of course, we can't deny that program also played a very important role in this. Similarly, as I mentioned, Padmanabhapuram Palace, a very complex organization, but how this organization create orders, create beautiful spatial experiences, and even through movement. But of course, how here we will focus on these different modules which are maybe repeating, not whatever. And then we come to a very simplistic organization of Gandhi Ashram. And here also, but still, though it's a simple organization, but has a lot, carries a lot of value when seen as a whole project. Then to the last one, we come as typology. So typology again is a very important kind of a theme, because uh, as you advance your semesters, you will of course be dealing with different typology. This year's theme is domesticity, so majorly we are dealing with residential typologies. But of course, there are architecture of public realm. There is architecture for the sacred, that is all the temples, Parthenon, Pantheon, all different churches, and maybe your tombs, or maybe architecture for the afterlife when we are talking about pyramids. So this year we are majorly for our AD we are talking about domesticity, but one of the very important aspect why to study typology and type. So when we introduce you the theme, we'll also talk about these themes in brief. Is that it helps you to kind of even study history, to dig into history. Like for instance, when Roman architecture started, they kind of build lot of architecture based on the Greek principles. But what major explorations that were done were different typologies, like the Roman baths. path was something that was emerging typology during the Romans. So similarly, in different periods of time and in different emergence of typology, and this typological study also kind of gives us hang of what happened in history. How did people dealt with the different changes that were happening, and what were the reactions? The reactions were how were the reactions through architecture, or how did they kind of evolve different typologies? So as I said, the architecture for the afterlife. So we talk about pyramids, we talk about symmetries. So here is the symmetry by Carlos Scarpa, or even the symmetry by Gurjeet Singh Matharu, which is Ashwin Kumar symmetry. I think it's in Surat. So um, plus we have tombs, we have these pyramids. Even in pyramids, why I've put these two pictures, on the right hand side, it's a pyramid in Luxor, and this pyramid was built for the queen, not for the king. Plus it is not, it is, sorry, this tomb, I would say, not a pyramid, but yeah, it's a amalgamation of a ziggurat and a pyramid, but it doesn't have that pinnacle in it, I mean that pyramidical form of it. Plus we, at the same time, we have tombs in India, we have dargahs in India. So these are different typologies with a similar major umbrella, but kind of have different notions or different ideas which are presented. When we talk about domestic typologies, this is Umaid Bhawan Palace, built in Udaipur. But at the same time, you see that in Paris, sorry, in France, unité habitation, which is a very which was at that time a very utopian kind of domestic notion of domesticity, and a group housing was built there. So we actually go back and forth the history, time, and even the all these aspects we are talking. So it's not like, the aspects which are spoken about in first year will totally not be spoken. Of course we will speak that, we'll go back and forth, but we tend to highlight some with what we intend to in this semester. So majorly one thing that the building what we, again, I would like to emphasize and repeat, is that the building should be seen as a coming together of different entities, not necessarily one leading to another, but what counts is the singularity of conception and its manifestation. That is what the major idea it is revolving around. Of course other things are going to plug in, are going to come together. It's not only one aspect that is making the building. So this is how the whole semester is spanned in. So I think I am. This is what I had to talk about, details of what we are going to do in second year. So Shilpa, Kay, do you want to add anything, or if I've missed out?
Yeah, no, I think you've covered it all basically. So the way it will be structured, like what Ritika had said, is that we'll have different lectures by some of your studio faculty, maybe some other faculty will come in and give you kind of independent lectures, where each of these will be in a way exemplifying some of the aspects that we're talking about through case studies. So if you all have any questions, any doubts, we can open it up.
So when we're kind of looking at for the word, what I forget the word, the order of a space that we're talking about. One second, not order. Sorry,
Organization.
organization, right? So what exactly is it defined as? Like I'm still a bit iffy on the definition of organization. Hello, am I audible?
Hello? There's a lot of disturbance. I can't hear. Hello?
But we can answer him. Ritika, what he's asking is, can you define
Huh.
it further, organization? And that's what you will do in that lecture, no, which will come,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, yes,
So he
yes.
has to attend it. Let's be sure that Shravan attends that lecture and doesn't miss that lecture. I
This is
just
a this is a teaser. This is a teaser, Shravan.
so I mean, yeah, you'll get to know in detail. This was just like an introduction which Ritika gave. So I guess, but I mean, please ask questions. I'm just
Any kind of questions, how the course will be, what things if you want to include suggestions, I mean anything. any kind of questions you can shoot. See, and as we said, this is going to be majorly.
I just want to ask, this is just a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
It's just an add-on to our design studio.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you all just identify yourselves because we can't see your this thing, see you or your.
You just put on the camera when you speak so that we.
Yeah, so so it will be a kind of add-on to the design studio, and the whole idea is in a way it's kind of something which straddles design, what you learn in the design studio and what you can learn from history and to bring it in, you know. So one of the reasons, like we are doing this exercise of the houses in our studio, and one of the reasons we are doing it is not just to be able to analyze that house, but to be able to learn from how things were done, because you have to remember that architecture is a discipline, right? So you have to, there are a lot of things that are going around it. There are, you put it in context, so you have politics, you have climate, you have issues around it that are going to go around, that are going to affect how we build, what we build, and so on. But the thing is that to build itself is a skill, right? And you have to learn the skill. You have to learn how buildings are put together, and you have to learn how and you'll realize that this thing is that you start with a concept and then eventually to take it to its conclusion, to be actually able to build it and to keep the sanctity of the concept is not something which comes easily. It is something that you learn over the years, and you also learn from looking at other people and how they have done things, right? So that is the intent of this course. As to and like we spoke in our studio a little bit, that everything that you do, that whether how you make the fenestration, what kind of openings you choose, how you do the massing and all that, all that is eventually kind of resulting in what your building is communicating to the user, in a sense, to the. So I think in this course we are basically going to learn about how buildings, how architecture is made. So we're going to look at the making of it actually, okay, and not looking at directly looking at theoretical concepts or looking at isms or looking at all that. It's fundamentally about the making of things. Okay.
Yeah, actually, that's a very, very important point, Shilpa, which I think I missed also at the beginning in the introduction to talk about that. We're looking at the making, the construct of a building. How do you make things? Because finally, architecture and the built environment are physical entities. They're real physical entities. You cannot deny that, right? And how they are made, you can make them in many ways. So you can have slums in Bombay, which is also an architectural entity of some kind, right? Which is a non-conscious one, which comes up by default. And you have on the other side, you will have like a well-crafted, say, you can see the other extreme in the Indian conception. If you see is the Taj Mahal, I'm just taking that. It's a very carefully crafted monument which has been made. Now, these are completely different typologies, situations, the politics of it, everything is different, but they're both finally physical constructs. So what are the parameters, what are the rules, what are the principles on which architecture is made? And it's good to know those tools, right? Then it's up to you how you work with them. Once you have those tools, you equip with it, then how you can play with it in whatever you can work out your own philosophical mindset for it. Over the years, you will develop that because you have your theory courses there, you have your theory of design courses there, and you have a lot of conversations. But this thing is going to teach you how to make things, in terms of through examples. Now we are not teaching you actually through making. That could be a full another course, but this is through examples and demonstrating that from history in some ways.
So when you say making, are you talking about like the thought process behind the design, or more on like how was it actually the construction of it was designed? Like how was it designed?
Come again.
What we mean by making, Shravan, is not just the actual putting together of the building in terms of brick and concrete. That is also part of it, right? And that is what the tectonics kind of comes to later on, when we're talking about the physical putting it together, but also making in terms of conceptualizing it, articulating it, detailing it, designing it, right? So that is right from the time you first put your actually the first time you know what the project is till the time it's built up. So there is this whole period of this thing, and we are going to talk about that. But we are going to talk about the physical object and not about other things that go, because that is something you're already doing in your humanities and theory of architecture course, right? You are talking about the things that go around the making, around architecture itself. So this is going to focus on the built construct, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so how it is going to be is that Ritika is going to be kind of curating the course for second year, and we will have other faculty, including myself, will come in and give you kind of lectures through the semester. Yeah.
Does it sound exciting? Is it interesting, guys?
Yes.
Where are the others sleeping?
Only one student feels yes. Only Shravan feels yes. What about rest?
Okay, let's ask this question another way. How many of you feel this is a useless course, a useless waste of your time post studio? Just raise your hands, please.
Yeah,
Here.
you can raise your hands here.
There are no grades for this, so you can really say it and get out of this. Yeah, it's pretty easy actually if you think about it. It's a trap, you know that, right?
I can already see that some people have dropped out. The moment you said no grades.
No, there are 77 people in this, including us. So that means you have 74 students here.
Okay.
Out of how many? 80 or 85? You're on
88.
85, 88, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So come on, I thought your class was more interactive and all, na?
Hi, this is Ambika. My camera doesn't work, but I had a question regarding something. So, would it be possible to also delve into understanding site and context? Because the thing is, because our case study will be in jeopardy, one thing I fear is that I'll miss out on practical aspects, like siting and ground and what we're doing in Sem 4. But I'll have so much theory because even construction is so much of knowing what type of foundation there is. But I want to know how I can study certain things online, how I can gain information on a structure online, because even internationally there are a lot of monuments and buildings where I can get an understanding of the context or just climate. But there's no studio as such or lecture in college that is teaching us how we can deal with things when we're not in the same space, or like bringing in international examples in that context or perspective. So I just wanted to know if this would be integrating that aspect of it.
Yeah. Ritika, you want to take this or I'll take it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel not much to an extent that is our intent. I feel what she's talking about, how to deal with it online, and of course, maybe not this semester, but we are talking about the and the context in the next semester. But exactly how to deal with the physical making of the particular context, I'm not sure, Shilpa, whether how are we going to deal with this? This is not
Yeah.
something that the course intends.
Yeah, not directly. And like what Ritika is saying, who's that? Is Ambika? Your name is?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ambika. So, like Ritika saying, so they will in the second semester, if you remember from the structure, we do have, we will be focusing on the context much more, because that is what the studio also focuses on, right? Our first semester focuses in more on the concept, on putting together an architectural object. The second semester is more drawing from the context onwards. But coming to whether how you will learn now in, and you must have realized already so far, and you will realize as you go along, is that nobody will teach you direct skills in architecture, right? You have to learn as you go along from the examples that you look at. So even like these 5 houses that you're studying in your group, all those 5 have a context, right? And you are looking at the context, and you're looking at how how the architect has responded to their context. So I think that is how you're going to learn. So there will be, because it's a complex field. So nobody will be able to kind of distill it and say that these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that you take to deal with it, because every context will be different, every situation will be different, right? So everything that you come across, I think you need to start looking at it and learning, and then maybe asking questions of your faculty, and which they can help you then in if that is particular, because I think it's very important what you're asking. I'm not trying to diminish what you're asking. It's extremely important, but I'm just saying that that's the process that you will have to follow.
Yeah, or maybe like to add to what you said, that as we are going to talk about different examples and different situations, so how different architect responded to different situation is something you can kind of think about or contemplate about that. So different situation, different responses, or maybe similar situation and different responses. This is something that you can take away from this course, I feel, rather than direct teaching skills, what Shilpa mentioned.
Yep, I understand. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Any more
What-
questions? Yeah.
Normally, like without the whole online lectures thing, would we have had a separate lecture for like AD in general, or is this something like part of the new course structure? That's just one thing. Like because in first sem I know we studied these like lectures, but like now that we have a specific lecture for this, is there like a reason for it particularly in any way?
No, not. I mean, it's not particularly for an online thing. It's something which has been in the offing, and it's just that it came to fruition at this particular point. So it's something which is going to be over all 3 years, and hopefully for a long time still, even when you will go back to real life. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Rutika, Kai?
No, I think I think it's good. Is it? If anybody has a question, you can raise your hand also, and then we can.
Yeah, I mean, we expect some questions or maybe any comments also. Like
Yeah,
what
actually,
exactly?
different
Yeah.
comments. Yeah, it would be good to have some. Some people. I can start pulling up the names, because I have some names here I can see now.
Yeah.
I can see Akriti is there from. These are at least from Shivali is there. Uh, shall I ask? Shall I call people up?
People are leaving. When you said you are going to call out names, people are leaving.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, I saw two people
Yeah, I can
leaving.
see that also. From 76 it became 74. Sanya is also there, but Sanya is a very quiet one. Jinesh is there.
Yeah. I mean, anything, you are confused, you don't understand why this course is for, or you are excited, or you're saying why this repetition. I mean, anything, any comment.
Tane, come on, you say something. What do you think of it? You're there, Tane?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I see you, please?
Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm actually happy that we're having this course because always we actually wanted to explore new things, and now that the library we cannot go to the library, probably the library is coming to us. So that's great. So I think that we can learn a lot of things.
That's an interesting one, and it's not coming to you only in the form of just a visual or pictures, which you would probably do when you go to the library. I mean, not everybody. I'm sure people dig deeper also, but here somebody is going to process it for you. Somebody with a few more years of experience is going to process it for you and put it across to you in some kind of a in parts and pieces of a building, so that it just becomes easier to grasp and assimilate it. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of you all must have entered architecture, imagining that you're going to make buildings, right? You're like, that's what you when you enter an architecture course, you think it's something to do with engineering and building, and that's what we are trying to make you engage more with that, and not just in terms of theory or conversation, because talking about architecture is one skill, and it is only one. It's important, but not being able, only talking about it, then not being able to manifest it and actually seeing the buildings and the physical things, that can be a big loss. So I'll be hoping through this course that your foundations are strong in that, along with studio and of course other courses also.
Will this also act as like a current affairs class for architecture, or are we not doing like something like that, like any upcoming buildings or like the
No,
new? Okay.
not yet.
Anybody
Okay.
else? Okay.
Okay. We hope you'll speak up more as we go along. Okay. So we'll.
Yeah, hope to have more discussions in the upcoming classes, hopefully. So please feel free to even type your questions if you don't want to talk. But yeah, but because this course, as we said, that this has no assignments, so all the learning is going to happen in the class. So you have to be active, you have to be kind of involved in discussions and asking questions.
I think Deep has mentioned that it's a good exams. This discussion will solve 80 problems.
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay then. Bye.
Yeah. Okay, then see you next Tuesday. Sorry, Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye.